In the last video, when I talked about the observations on the 12-volt battery while I was on vacation, and if you haven't watched that video, you should watch it as you all want to go on vacation and not have to worry about having to come home with a car that you cannot start. And in that video, I did not disclose where I went on vacation. And I went to Hong Kong to visit some friends, and it was surely an interesting city where you have both the West and the East cultures blended into one. In this video, I'll talk about Hong Kong and my visit to the Lexus dealership in the city and talk about my views on the LBX and the LM since they aren't available in Americas. Hong Kong is a special administration region of the People's Republic of China with 7.4 million residents living in a 1,104 square kilometers land, the fourth mostly dense populated region in the world. Some would think that Japan would actually be very dense, but they're only ranked 43. So we're talking about 6,725 people living in a square kilometer. And comparing that to where I live in Canada, that's 4. So 4 versus 6,725. So my quick observations of Hong Kong is that most citizens in Hong Kong rely on public transit. And doing some research, it actually shows that public transit usage exceeds 90%. And it's the highest percentage in the world. So when you think about it, 90% of people actually use public transit, then there shouldn't be that many cars on the road. You probably see a lot of bus, taxis, some smaller buses and all that, but there are actually cars on the road as well. So looking at the MTR map, you can see why citizens do not need to buy a car to drive to get anywhere, because it's almost like you can get anywhere with public transit anywhere in the city. When you look at the number of cars, there's about 630,000 privately owned cars on the road that are registered according to Transport Department in Hong Kong. So when you look at that, that's probably very little compared to other cities in the world. But with such a small city with 630,000 cars, that's still significant. Then my friend actually owns a Toyota BZ4X in Hong Kong, and some people would say BZ4X. Well, when you look at it, there are a lot of Teslas on the road in Hong Kong, and I agree to see that there are tons of them on the road. And the reason why he picked a Toyota was because he was brought up owning Toyotas, and he believed in their reliability, and he wanted to be different. He did not want a Tesla. And then there aren't that many BZ4X on the road, and I think when I've been in there for 3 weeks, I saw a handful. And when you look at the city, going from one corner to another, it's mostly about 80 kilometers of a drive. The longest bus ride is about 73 kilometers, so owning an EV seems to make a lot of sense in Hong Kong. Even with the BZ4X with its less range compared to Teslas and the Kias and the China BYD electric cars, it seems to be okay for a daily drive in the city. And looking at the stats, when you look in 2019, there's about 96% cars are driving petrol or gasoline, and only 2.1% were electric vehicles. And you fast forward to 2024, this number is up to September 2024, you can see that there's a drastic increase of battery electric vehicles in Hong Kong. Now, in September, you're looking at 82.4% gasoline and 15.8% electric vehicles are registered vehicles in Hong Kong. And you can surely see that there's a healthy increase. One could be related to the government. There's a 1-for-1 replacement schema, which allows citizens to replace their vehicles with a battery electric vehicle, and they'll save on taxes, so they actually can get a car much cheaper than getting a gasoline car. The weather in Hong Kong rarely dips below minus. There's only a few instances where they've actually seen 0 degrees or minus degrees. Typically, average, they're seeing about like 30-ish degrees, maximum of 39 degrees Celsius, and typically 20-ish and in the teens in the winter. So definitely good temperatures for electric vehicles too, because you would not have that much range anxiety and you probably would not lose much range because of the weather. So now talking about the Lexus dealership in Hong Kong. So when you open Google Maps and search for Lexus dealerships in Hong Kong, you would only see that there is one dealership and there's two service centers in the city. They do have Toyota dealerships that you can probably get there and they may have a Lexus there, but there's only one experience center and that's the one that we went to. And it seems like it makes sense. The city's not a big city and having just one just would be enough. And knowing that the city is going more electrified, really going to battery electric vehicles. So Lexus only has the RZ450E or the RZ300E, depending on the single motor or the dual motor. But then they do offer smaller LBX, which probably makes sense in Hong Kong as well because there's not much places that you can park these cars, and having a smaller car would probably make more sense. But then there are those LMs out there that are big MPVs, like they're almost like a big minivan, so-called luxury minivan, where a lot of people who have a lot of wealth would love to actually be in those than rather being in a Rolls Royce or something. So let's now look into what I've observed in the dealership. So when you enter the dealership, the first thing you see is this hot yellow LBX. Looks extremely nice. Something that we don't get in Americas, but definitely a nice looking small SUV hatchback type of vehicle. And I would say I think I like how the color works and how it all is assembled. It definitely does look like a small Lexus. But when you look inside, it looks very familiar. A lot of the components are similar to the NX, and you can still see things that are a little bit smaller, but you also would see that there's no shiny hard plastics. They have the gray plastic. They even have some sort of like a wood, imitation wood, or it's maybe real wood. I don't even know. But definitely, it does look a little bit more luxury than the NX with so much black plastic. And then you look at the door handles and all the lines that are in there. It doesn't look like you have a plain passenger side. It has some details. Everything just looks different. And it's a small vehicle, definitely small vehicle. But when you look at it, you can definitely see that there is a touch of Lexus in a really Yaris format. One reason why this car will not be available in America is because it's just really too small. When you look at my driving position, the back seat, the person who sits behind it definitely is going to suffer. You can see here, that's my driving position, and you can see how much space is left for the rear passengers. Yeah, maybe kids will be able to sit in it, but really another adult, it will not work. So besides the LBX, they do have two ESs in the dealership. They do have one NX, they have a few LMs, and they have a few RZs, and one IS300H. Other than that, you will not see the LS, you will not see the LX, RC. Those vehicles do not exist in this dealership. I think they do sell the LS, but because it's not a high volume vehicle, you probably have to ask them and see what they have. And then on top of that, I actually did ask one of the salesmen. I actually told them that I'm not here to buy a car. I just drive an NX in North America, and I just wanted to see the other cars that are not offered in North America. And I asked him about the sales, and he said RZ is selling quite well, and the LBX is actually their top selling vehicle. So it's not the BEVs. It is that smaller LBX that is being sold a lot more than the RZ in Hong Kong. And then when we continue to walk into the dealership, you can see that they have a lot of nice looking things. They have all the color palettes, so you can actually walk up and look at the color palettes and what they look like. You can see the materials that they have, like the leather, the different colors of leather. So I'm assuming if you're going to be buying a vehicle, you can actually go into this area and look at the color palettes, choose the colors, choose what the interior is so that you can get a feel of what it looks like. Because again, the dealership is so small that there really isn't that much space for you to go and get every single car and drive it around. With the love of my cadmium orange, I had to take a picture of the cadmium orange. It does look a little bit different just by itself instead of in the car, but overall, they do have all the colors that Lexus offers just in that panel on that wall. So when you look at it, you can see that even the furniture, things that they use, a lot of it actually uses the Lexus spindle. So I'm hoping that Lexus doesn't remove the spindle because the dealership probably needs like a new reno if they do that. They also have wallpaper that uses the spindle as well. And they've also used different Lexus parts, paint them all white, and assembled them on the wall. This wall actually looks like Lexus for sure because when you see the spindle grille, you see the rims, you see a lot of Lexus parts on the wall. Definitely looks different from what the Canadian dealerships look like. You also can see that they offer different dash cams than North America. So these are Blackview dash cams and different brands that you can opt for when you buy your Lexus. And before we go to the LM, we're going to go to the NX. So they do have the NX 350h F Sport, something that North American owners who wanted the F Sport and couldn't get it, I think you are drooling when you see this. They do offer the hybrid F Sport in Hong Kong as well, and I know in Europe and other countries you offer it, but unfortunately in North America they still don't have that. Maybe in the refresh version they'll start introducing the 350h F Sport, and I think a lot of owners will be pleased if they do that. But one thing I've noticed here, the NX 350h F Sport, they do have something that I haven't seen in the North American F Sports. Like my F Sport does not have the F Sport badge on the rear trunk. And they have a chrome piece to protect the bumper. In Canada, we actually have a rubber piece to protect the bumper, so it's a little bit different. This one does look a little bit more shiny, but the rubber version probably can sustain more harassment. So in Hong Kong, they don't offer the NX 450h Plus. They only have the NX 250 and the 350h, so no 350 and no 450h Plus. They do offer the RX, but it's not found on the dealership as well. Follow me on Instagram at LSFT Videos. You can see updates on my experience with the NX 450h Plus, which may not be shown on any future videos. You can reach out to me via direct messaging if you have any questions on your Lexus. If you like this video, you can provide me feedback in the comments below, like this video, share it with your friends. This definitely will help with the YouTube algorithms. Press the subscribe button and bell icon and get notified when new videos show up. And lastly, if you want to support me further, you can provide me a super thanks, or visit my Amazon storefront before you purchase anything from Amazon, and or you can purchase products from the list on the items that I've been using with my vehicle or at home at no extra cost to you. And now let's continue with the video. So one of the biggest things that they've been selling is the LM, because that is something that is not sold many places in the world. And if you've seen my post that India has so much demand on the LM that they have to stop taking orders because they just couldn't keep up with them. So in Hong Kong, definitely the LM is also one of the ones that a lot of people would be interested in because MPVs are very commonly used by people with wealth or people who want to be low key. They do have money, but they want some luxury. They want the room and they want to be able to do work in the car while getting to from A to B, like from the house to the office. So LM seems to be a big piece in the dealership because they actually had 3 LMs in this dealership, or they call it the Experience Center. So they do have a place where they actually have these 2 LMs. I'm assuming before there would have been an LS here, but now I think the LM has taken over. So this is the all new LM launch. And you can see that the wallpaper of the spindle grille. You can see the 2 LMs that they've parked here. And even here you can see that they have different versions. They have versions of the LM where you can actually have like a 6-seater, or you actually have the LM that only has 4 seats. People who actually want all the space, want the fridge, the big TV, and all that. So you see this is the LM350h, and it's an Empire Suite version. and there are the other one there. And I think we're going to be able to have a chance to look inside. So this one is a six-seater. So this is probably something that I would say in North America, you probably would get some people who actually want this type of a car because it just looks like a minivan. I think it's actually 3 seats in the back, so it's a seven-seater, not an eight. So you can see here, the materials are well made, extremely in a L series. So again, keep in mind Lexus L series, the LM, LX, LS, LC, these should actually get the best materials that you can get in vehicles. So this one is the seven-seater. And now we're going to go and look at the front. So here you can see the materials of the front, and then you can see that there's wood, there's minimal wood, but there's still wood. And you can see the same shifter and the same cup holders that we see in the NX, RX in North America, same door handles. But overall, you can see that the build quality, I can tell you, those floor mats are extremely soft. They're totally different from what we get in North America. And you can see inside, this is also similar where we have a two-seater. You can see that now the chairs are a little bit further out, and you can see that big TV with the privacy glass, and then you can see that wood panel on the top where you can control the opening the doors, the windows, and all that. Definitely, it does look like a little room where you can do whatever you need to do your business, and then when you get to the office, continue your life. This is really not something that you would really need in North America, and that's why these are only available in Asia. So just looking at it, you can see that there's also like umbrella. You press the button and it will close. Definitely is a top-notch LM. So I really enjoyed my time in Hong Kong, and especially the Lexus Experience Center. They don't call them dealerships there. And it's just a little bit different from North America, Canada's dealerships. And you can see that they do offer vehicles that aren't available in North America as well. The LBX, even though it's small, it does have very good, it's well made. Materials in the car is actually, I would say, better than the NX in some ways. The design is also better. But unfortunately, it is what it is. That's the second generation NX. The LM, definitely, it's an L-class vehicle. Definitely one of the top-notch, well-made, good materials vehicles. And you can see in this video, you can see so many MPVs on the road with taxis. And also, I don't know how many Teslas have been driving by, but you can definitely see a lot of taxis, MPVs, and the LM is really one of the ones that probably will shine well in this market. BEVs are actually well made as well. There's a lot of BEVs on the road. So I think Lexus needs to do something different in Hong Kong in comparison to other markets like North America, Canada, United States. I think they have to introduce BEVs to survive in this market, especially with the BYDs, the other vehicles that are available in this market. It's going to be very hard for them to be competitive. But it is what it is. My next video, I have one more video that based on my observations in Hong Kong, talking about BYDs and other brands that I've seen on the road. There's one specific MPV that I've seen a lot on the road, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that vehicle in that next video. I hope that you found that this video was informative, and until next video, drive safely. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment, like, share this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can provide me a super thanks. And until next time, cheers.